Up on Mountain News at 5:30, former President Donald Trump says he is now a target in another federal investigation. Plus, the Housing Development Alliance in Perry County welcomes 3 interns for the summer. We'll tell you about the work they've been doing.
And we are not done with the potential for showers and storms as we head through the rest of the week. I'm breaking down the latest on where showers and storms are now. Coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Strong to severe thunderstorms continue to move across parts of the state. We've had numerous warnings the last few hours. Let's check in with First Alert meteorologist Evan Hatter for the latest. Evan.
Well, Steve, that's right. We still have two active warnings in place right now on First Alert Pinpoint Doppler. First, where the warnings aren't, we have a heavy thunderstorm just in the far southern parts of Harlan County. That is likely producing a heavy downpour. Nothing severe near Hazard, but a lot of lightning with this one as this continues to scoot off to the east and the northeast. But our severe thunderstorm continues into portions of Magoffin County. That's where the actual storm is right now, south of Salyersville on top of Royalton. That's headed toward Prestonsburg and south of Paintsville over the next little bit. The storm moving over Paintsville, not necessarily severe, but 50-mile-per-hour winds possible with that. Putting a track on this as it moves off to the east. We're talking Paintsville by 5:34, Prestonsburg by 5:31, down toward McDowell by the top of the hour. And if it holds together, over toward Pikeville here by about 6:14 in South Williamson by 6:20. The other warning we have in effect for Lawrence County, this runs also until 6 o'clock. It's very close to downtown Louisa. Here's where this storm is going over the next 40 minutes or so. Blaine by about 5:34. That's in Lawrence County. Sandy Furnace by 5:40 over toward Louisa by 5:52. And into portions of West Virginia as you head toward the 6 o'clock hour. Both of these storms have the potential to produce 60-mile-per-hour winds, and this storm in Lawrence County has the potential to produce hail to the size of quarters. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect where we haven't seen any storms yet in Pulaski, Wayne, and McCreary counties until 9 o'clock for a thunderstorm complex pushing out of south central Kentucky. We'll have to see how this area of showers and storms develops from basically Bowling Green on back to about Owensboro to see how that evolves over the next little bit, and more thunderstorms getting going across central Kentucky. So while we may be getting a break soon, we're not completely done. I'll break down the latest chances in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, we hear thunder overhead right now here in Hazard. A pretrial hearing was held today in former President Donald Trump's classified documents case as word came that the Justice Department may be close to indicting the current frontrunner for the GOP presidential nomination on other charges. CBS's Christian Benavidez reports from Fort Pierce, Florida.
Former President Donald Trump posted on social media Tuesday that he received a letter informing him that he is a target of a Justice Department investigation into efforts to undo the results of the 2020 presidential election.
I believe that we're looking at days, potentially weeks, for the next federal indictment of the former president of the United States.
Special Counsel Jack Smith's office is leading the investigation, looking into attempts by Trump and his allies to block the transfer of power to Joe Biden in the lead-up to the January 6th riot. The letter usually informs the target that he or she has a right to appear before the grand jury.
It is the best and clearest indication we have that this investigation is really nearing its final moments.
Allies of Trump, who currently leads the field for the Republican presidential nomination, called the latest development politically motivated.
If you notice recently, President Trump went up in the polls and was actually surpassing President Biden for re-election. So what do they do now? Weaponize government to go after their #1 opponent.
The news of the target letter comes the same day the first pre-trial conference was held in connection to the case against Trump relating to his handling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate. The former president pleaded not guilty last month to 37 criminal counts, including the willful retention of national defense secrets, making false statements, and conspiracy to obstruct justice. Christian Benavidez, CBS News, Fort Pierce, Florida.
Walt Nauta, Trump's aide and co-defendant in the documents case, surprised many by appearing at today's pretrial conference. The former president did not. Israel's figurehead president visited with President Biden today at the White House, but there are strained relations between the two countries, in part due to the actions of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. CBS's Skylar Henry has more on that.
Well, Mr. President, welcome back.
President Biden welcomed Israeli President Isaac Herzog to the White House Tuesday.
My love for Israel is deep-rooted, long-lasting.
While the meeting reaffirms America's commitment to Israel's security, Herzog's position back home is largely ceremonial, and it's an invitation that wasn't given to the head of the country's right-wing government, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, a leader that President Biden has known for years. Netanyahu's hardline nationalist coalition has sparked months of protests as it tries to overhaul the judicial branch and expand settlements in the occupied West Bank.
We're here to say to Israel's government, the more you press, the harder we resist. We are saying no to dictatorship.
President Biden did speak with Netanyahu over the phone on Monday and offered to meet later this year.
Some of the extremist activities and behavior by some members of the Netanyahu cabinet. Those concerns are still valid. They're disturbing.
On Wednesday, Herzog becomes the second Israeli president to address a joint meeting of Congress. The first, his father in the 1980s.
There's currently a crisis of democracy and apartheid.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and several other progressive Democrats are boycotting the speech. They say it's due to Israel's politics. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
This past weekend, the chair of the House Progressive Caucus called Israel a racist state. She later walked that comment back after criticism from both Democrats and Republicans. A U.S. national is believed to be detained in North Korea after crossing the border. A U.S. official says the Army soldier crossed over voluntarily. He was assigned to the U.S. Forces Korea but was not in uniform when he crossed over. The United Nations command says he crossed the military demarcation line separating North and South Korea during a joint security area tour. The UN is working to resolve the incident. A funeral was held in Rutland, Vermont today for a young police officer that died in the line of duty. 19-year-old officer Jessica Ebbinghausen was killed on the job earlier this month. Her police vehicle was hit head-on by a man who was reportedly trying to escape after breaking into a home. Ebbinghausen was working to become a full-time member of the department. A suspected serial killer from New York has ties to a South Carolina community. Property tax records claim Giljo Beach murder suspect Rex Heuermann bought a lot in Chester County in 2022. It is in a subdivision called Mirror Lakes 2. Heuermann, an architect and father of two, was arrested Thursday in New York. He was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and could also face a 4th charge in connection with another victim. A farmer in Boyle County will spend time in jail after illegally selling cattle. The Lexington Herald-Leader reports Peter Alex Cox sold hundreds of cattle he was using as collateral for a $1 million loan. A federal judge in Lexington sentenced Cox to 1 year in jail and nearly $1 million in restitution. After he's released from jail, he'll have to spend a year under house arrest. This summer, 3 teens are getting the opportunity to learn a trade through an internship with the Housing Development Alliance that could eventually lead to a career. WYMT's Olivia Calfee caught up with one intern and staff to find out how their summer is coming along.
These 3 young people really decided that they wanted to help their community, but also at the same time to learn a trade.
Spending 8 weeks with Housing Development Alliance carpenters. Intern Samuel Smith says he graduated high school and is ready to work, sharing his favorite part.
I like doing the flooring, to be honest, out of all this. The flooring's fun.
Since the beginning of June, collectively, the 3 have worked on 11 new homes and 4 rehabs, getting the opportunity to make a difference for low-income families as well as flood survivors.
So it's nice to help people get back on their feet, because I know how it is to lose everything. It's a rough time, so it's cool to help people.
Finnish carpenter Malachi Longworth says working with Sam during his internship has been a great experience, saying Sam continuously puts in effort.
Sam's a good kid. He shows interest in doing this kind of work. He's young, he's looking for a career path, and he seems to like this.
And Miller says she hopes the internship continues to build up young carpenters in eastern Kentucky, reminding young adults that their trade matters and housing can't wait.
To see that you can do something to change things. You know, you have the power to do that, and this is one way to do it. You know, I think that they've seen just exactly what they're capable of and how that you can use your talent to make your community better.
In Perry County, Olivia Kelfie, WYMT Mountain News.
Intern Sam Smith says he's hopeful that his hard work this summer will lead to a full-time job as a finished carpenter with HDA. Coming up.